Taylor, once you start working from home, you'll have plenty of time to catch up to Kyle on that show.
Dude, that would be pretty sick. If it's like, sorry everyone, I got to self quarantine for 2 weeks, and you better believe I'm gonna still try to be like working out.
I'm a little concerned. I spent 4 hours with this guy. He was coughing the whole time. I'm gonna self
Taylor,
quarantine.
what would happen? What would happen if you called into work and just told them you had coronavirus?
No one wants to be around someone with coronavirus, so that's a get out of jail free card with any client for any reason, I would imagine. Yeah. Oh, is this the week you needed me to fly to Cincinnati? No, I got that thing going.
I got the 24-hour corona.
Yeah. I got the coronavirus, and I'm sorry, that's weeks from now.
I've got a thing that makes no one want to be around me. You're vegan now?
Yeah, I got sleep-in-itis. Gotta get some rest. So yeah, I want to get your guys' predictions on that. Do you think we're gonna see kind of not mandatory, but suggested quarantining the way Italy initially did it? I think Italy's pretty much at mandatory now.
We already are.
Well, I mean, like on a higher level, I don't see that many people quarantined now. Sure, like driving around during rush hour today, way less traffic than usual. Very much noticeable how much less traffic. But like, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like it hasn't come into effect yet.
University of North Carolina is going to an online school probably for the remainder of this semester. Hope's books are at the sorority house. She doesn't know if she's allowed to go get them. Like, we're not sure how that happens.
Yeah. Gotta wait 3 days. Make sure it's not on those surfaces.
It's spring break. It's been 3 days, but that's a good point.
Probably be able to go.
Yeah, I don't know. And they're going online. Like I said, George Foreman's mom, she can't go to work anymore until April 6th. Like in my little corner of the universe, people are already self-quarantine. Trump came out, said if you travel, we want you to self-quarantine for some period of time before you go back to gatherings. And then I don't know, my online world, like Reddit, for example, is just filled with social isolation. Is that the term they're using all the time?
Something like that, yeah.
Talking about not touching people, standing 3 feet away, which is what's normal, about 3 feet-ish anyway, right?
I would say I was hearing like 6 feet, but even then, it's like if this is airborne, isn't that kind of just?
Isn't 6 a little far for like
that
conversation? Yes, yeah. Somewhere between 3 and 6.
What's new with you?
I got the corona.
Oh, yeah. You too? Oh, well, just walk over here then. We're fine.
Yeah. I thought it was something rough.
No, we're both sick. Okay.
Yeah, I think that the quarantining stuff is going to be bigger and bigger. And I wonder what the lasting changes will be. For example, companies that don't have work from home policies now that the whole company does it, will that become a more common thing?
I would hope so. I mean, hopefully it would finally maybe reinforce the fact that not everything has to be an in-person meeting and discussion. Like, you can get a lot more done if you do it remotely or on Skype or on, freeconferencecall.net or whatever the fuck service you want to use. Like, that would be better. People would get more done.
I don't
sometimes
know.
like a sales call, you're going to some big sales call. In person is always better, objectively. It's easier to make them meet your eyes. You can read their body language better. It's more amicable. They feel the need to pay attention more instead of watching a screen. Like for sales, yeah, very much so. But if you're discussing like an advertising tactic or something, or you're gonna like reallocating your budget for the quarter, it's like we can do that on the phone.
Okay, so I worked as a computer programmer, and typically the project I worked on be like smallish teams, say between like 6 and 18 guys. Mm-hmm. And if they're all in the same office, it's hard to put a value on the 100 little micro communications that happen throughout the day. I quick ping you because our systems are interfacing together. If I can just ping you with a quick question or tell you a quick thing, or like that does so much. That 15 seconds can save 15 minutes of what it would take to figure it out on my own. So I noticed when people they take these teams and they either work from home or on a related thing, they spread them around the world. And even if they're East Coast and West Coast, how many hours a day do they overlap? So you already lose 3, which cuts it to 5. And then the 2 lunch hours don't overlap. So it's 3 hours a day that they're both naturally at work at the same time. And that's a lot of overlap that's missing. And you miss out on a lot of efficiencies that happen because the guy that you're interfacing with is available. On the other hand, working from home can be really nice. And sometimes those micro communications can be a disadvantage. Like, dude, I don't care about your dog. I don't care about your daughter. Like, all these things just make me stay at work longer.
Yeah. Yeah. Where it's like, I'm trying to figure out I don't even know the verbiage to pretend to be in the computer programming or the, industry. But like, yeah, you're right. There's so much wasted time in those things where you could really be, kind of like, that's why I don't remember what CEO it was, but it was something I saw and I've mentioned on the show before where he was like, yeah, I saw a real big change in the meeting habits of the company that I took over as soon as I pulled every chair out of the conference room. And so you go in there, you got to stand up. Everybody's standing, and he was like, how much people are dilly-dallying and talking about their weekend when they have to stand? Not much at all. Like, because they just want to get it done and get back to their comfy chairs.
You remember we had one of the owners of the Sacramento Kings on the show, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You remember his name? I'm bad with names.
Andy Miller? Andy Miller.
Okay. So I asked him about the $1 trillion coach, the guy who mentored Steve Jobs and the Google guy and stuff like that. He would have people go in meetings and kick it off with how they're thankful or grateful to the other people in this room. Hey, before I say anything, I want to talk about why I love Taylor so much. And I'm just like, every week they would do this. Oh my God, this fucking sucks. I don't want to
kill myself. That sounds awful.
Yeah. Why is this such great
Well, I'm thankful and Carol at HR for making simple engagements a touchy walking on eggshell thing. Thank you, Carol. Thanks.
Yeah. That's the kind of stuff I didn't really enjoy at work. I had my friends, but I like to pick them. I didn't like my manager to force them.
Yeah. No, I totally feel it. I mean, were you tight with Ashmish or whatever his name was?
This sounds racist, but it's not. If I worked with an American guy, it was like an 80% chance we'd be friends and we'd go to lunch together and stuff like that. If I worked with an Indian guy, it was almost the inverse. Like there was a 20% chance we'd hit it off and be friends and go to lunch. Mm-hmm. Culturally, one issue I had was too much respect. Like, it's hard to pal around with a guy who always treats you as his superior. And like at work, I was like a lead at work. Mm-hmm. And these guys would all work for me, but the Americans culturally, we just kind of set that aside and flatten it. When it came down to it, I assigned the work, but at lunch, I'm not the boss anymore. But with the Indian guys, I was always the boss. And like, really? Even if you just choose where you're eating, they would have no opinion. They just agree with me. And that wasn't the relationship I was looking for.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
It's like how girlfriends are or wives. Just except disagreeing or not disagreeing or agreeing, just being indifferent. The only way to get them to pick where they want to eat is by suggesting somewhere they hate.